The girl WHO saw the future chapter to the school that called her crazy and why that was her biggest advantage. The bell rang like a dying alarm, shrill, angry, and impatient, shaking the worn-out classrooms of Nairobi Unified Secondary. The students surged out like a tide of backpacks and chatter, leaving behind a trail of chalk, dust, and forgotten dreams. Mimi lingered in the back row, pretending to zip her hoodie, waiting for the rush to clear before slipping into the hallway. The air was thick with the smell of desperation, a scent she had grown accustomed to. She'd been late again, not because she overslept, but because she'd spent an hour sketching the symbols carved into the tree, the ones that glowed in her dreams, trying to translate them into something real. The tree, a mysterious entity that haunted her visions, whispering secrets in a language she couldn't quite grasp. Mimi pulled the leaf from her pocket, still warm, still humming, and tucked it into the hidden pocket of her backpack. The principal's voice echoed through the corridor. "Amina Okafor, report to the office, now," she sighed. Another disciplinary meeting awaited, another lecture about focus, responsibility, and career prospects, as if a job in a call center was the only future worth dreaming of. She walked down the polished hallway, past glass cases displaying trophies and science fair projects, past posters urging be the change, and think global, act local. The walls whispered of the city outside, where the power died twice last week, where water came once every 3 days, where kids sold water bottles instead of homework. Mimi didn't need a poster to tell her to be the change. She was already building the bridge to get there. She stepped into the office, a sterile room with fake plants and a principal who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Mr. Osei sat behind his desk, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Beside him, Zara Mwangi, the girl from her vision, stood straight-backed, hands folded, eyes sharp as a knife. And next to her, a teacher Mimi didn't recognize, tall, gray-haired, wearing a lab coat over a kitten shirt, Dr. Eliana Mwenya, the woman who wrote consciousness as a temporal antenna. Mimi froze, her heart pounding not from fear but from the realization that the world was collapsing faster than she thought. "Sit down, Amina," Osei said, voice flat. "We've called you here to discuss your behavior again." Mimi sat slowly, her mind racing. She'd been caught drawing on the desk symbols that no one could identify, talking to the walls, and telling her classmates that she could see the future. The visions had been getting stronger, more vivid, and she couldn't keep them to herself anymore. Osei leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "You've been absent from class 3 times this week. You've been caught drawing on the desk symbols that no one can identify. You've been talking to the walls. And now you're telling your classmates that you can see the future." He sighed, a mixture of frustration and concern etched on his face. "We're trying to help you, but you're making it very difficult." Mimi clipped her nails into her palms, a trick her grandmother taught her to ground herself when the visions came too strong. "I'm not making it up," she said, voice low. "I saw Zara in a city with flying bikes and a tree that glows, and she was standing next to a boy who called it the tree." Zara's eyes widened, just a fraction, but enough. Dr. Mwenya spoke, her voice calm, measured, like a scientist testing a hypothesis. "And what does this tree look like, Amina?" Mimi swallowed and described it in detail, the bark carved with the ancient Nibadi symbols, the leaves that pulsed like living lanterns, the way the branches seemed to reach toward the stars as if they were trying to remember something. Zara stepped forward, her voice trembling. That's exactly what I drew for my urban design project, the bioluminescent core tree. I didn't show anyone. I didn't even write it down. I dreamed it last night, and I drew it this morning, and now you're describing it like you've seen it." Silence fell over the room, heavy and suffocating. Then Osei slammed his hand on the desk. "Enough. This is delusional. We're sending you to a counselor starting tomorrow. You'll be on academic probation. And if you miss one more class, you're out. Do you understand?" Mimi stood slowly, the leaf burning a hole in her backpack. She looked at Zara and saw something, a flicker of recognition, of belief. She looked at Dr. Mwenya, who was watching her, eyes unreadable, and then she nodded almost imperceptibly, as if to say, "Keep going, you're not alone." Mimi turned, walked out, didn't look back. Outside, the sun was high, hot and merciless, but Mimi didn't feel it. She walked past the gates, past the vendors selling samosas and phone chargers, past the children playing Future City, building skyscrapers out of cardboard and scrap metal, and stopped. Chapter 2 ends.